Hi, my name is Christian Book. I'm an experimental poet. I'm working on a project that involves building a model of protein 13, a genetically engineered poem that is in fact produced by a bacterium. I'm about 75 molecules into 192 molecule protein, building it here for display on this table. It's a relatively long-term, somewhat tedious process, carefully aligning all of these tiny little balls into the proper angles and geometries so that they actually look like the molecule that appears in our simulations. So, I'm here in Bury preparing this artwork for the forthcoming Text Festival.
Okay, so is this a poem or a sculpture or an artwork, or is it all those things all at once?
I think you can safely say that it is all those things all at once.
Okay.
It's an attempt to try and embody a poem in the form of an object that in fact enciphers the poem in its own structure. So all of this sequence of molecules in fact enciphers the letters of an actual poem that is written in English and is being produced and manufactured by a bacterium.
Okay, so does the poem write itself? Does it kind of grow and evolve as time goes on?
The poem is created in response to a gene that I've implanted into the bacterium. I've written a text, and then through a process of encipherment, I've translated it into a sequence of genetic nucleotides. Then with the assistance of a laboratory and some scientific collaborators, we built that gene in a lab and implanted it into a bacterium, replacing part of its genetic code with my poem, so that the organism in effect will be the living embodiment of my text. And I've written the poem in such a way that when it's translated into this genetic sequence, it causes the organism to do something in response. And in this case, it causes the organism to generate a protein. And this protein, according to my original chemical cipher, is itself yet another totally different but meaningful poem written entirely by the organism as a side effect of that biochemical relationship between the genetic code and the protein itself. So in some sense, I know what the organism is going to write. It will always write this poem in response to mine. And effectively, I've engineered it so that will be its job. The job will now be not only to store my poem, to archive that poem, but also to be a machine for writing its own poem in response.
So there's a lot of quite experimental, cutting-edge work that features as part of the Text Festival. Do you think these labels, art, poetry, science, are they as valid or are they interchangeable?
Oh, I don't know if they're interchangeable, but I think that it's important to test the boundaries between them. In my case, I've been very curious about trying to apply a wide diversity of discursive principles outside of poetry to my own practice. So in this case, I'm borrowing some of the discourse of biotechnology and some of its tropes in order to generate something that would in fact be a living work of art. Trying to write a work of living poetry, if you like.
That's great. Thank you very much.
No problem. Very happy to oblige. Cheers.